Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Masks Monday. Well, most of you anyway. This is session 32 of Masks of Nyarlathotep. We are going to be bringing in the new character at some point tonight, although not just yet. We need to deal with what's in front of us first. So let us introduce the characters that are still alive. I can't believe I'm saying that after only 2 sessions. Let us start off with Charles.
Hi there.
Hiya.
Yes, I'm Charles Barrington-Smythe, and you see the damnedest things on African trains. It's just damned inconvenient. I don't know why anyone goes first class. I mean, it's just terrible. Where's the guards?
You want to speak to the train manager. Shall we introduce Perry as well, please?
Yeah, Perry Astor here. Narrowly survived the last session. It went a little bit wrong for Perry and a lot wrong for Constantina. Yes, he is in very bad straits at the moment. Our Canadian explorer is never going to be the same again.
I see some passive aggressiveness in the chat from a deceased person. And finally, Mr. Singh, Dillon. I've done this wrong 3 times. Wow. I can't do mirror image, apparently.
Good you. Well, I'm Pranit Singh Dillon. I'm a former infantry soldier in the English army. And apparently, I'm also the, how do you say that? The saver, yes, of Perry's ass, because I've been patching him up for a couple of times already. And I'm also in charge of the summary of last session, because for anybody that didn't catch up with last week's session, we had 2 fire orbs, one red, one blue, that were trying to burn into our is it cart? I don't recall the correct carriage compartment. Yes, of the train we were on to get to Nairobi. Eventually, they managed to get in. We tried to, Constantina tries to shoot them, but the bullets got melted halfway through. So Perry, being the warrior in white armor that he is, takes her up on his shoulder, and tries to make a run for it. Unfortunately, the orbs were not of the same advice, so they burned their chest and everything around it. The other one also tried actually to do the same thing to Perry, but we managed to save him at the very last second, while me and Charles were actually able to put an end to this horrifying trip. Either way, it is now, when we arrived in Nairobi, Thursday the 19th. And of course, we are taken to the police station, Charles and I, to give our statements. Of course, I'm looked a little bit sideways because I'm a so-called person of color, while Charles, that other than being white, has 2 last names, is all smiles and pats on the shoulders, etc. Perry obviously is taken to the hospital, where also the body of Constantina is taken. We managed to arrange her funeral and the departure of the corpse to the UK. And we are actually even able to speak to Dr. Horace Starrett at the chapel, that allegedly, as much as we are concerned, was the doctor that did the autopsies on the bodies of the maybe Carlyle Expedition, because none of them bodies were white, actually, as we are told. I like the gallery of death-related pictures that is going on.
Maybe her next character is an undertaker or a grave robber.
Oh,
There we
I
go.
could go with a grave robber. But either way, the doctor is a little bit vague about the bodies. It doesn't really answer any kind of question we ask him on that regard. We actually think that it is because he doesn't want to get too much into details on the status of the bodies when he examined them. We actually have to talk to a lot of people here in Nairobi. Lieutenant Mark Selkirk, that was actually the lieutenant who found the bodies, and Roger Corridon, the colonial undersecretary for internal affairs, that we were told in Mombasa that we could find them at the government house here in Nairobi. We also
Yeah, those are the two main leads you wanted to look at. You
yeah.
did also, of course, visit a certain tea shop owner.
Yeah, I was just wrapping up the things around
Oh.
the Carlyle Expedition because because we got to know by Dr. Sterrett that they stayed with a local hunter for a few days. I think I wrote the last name wrong, something like Endicott, something like that.
Yeah,
Endicott. Cot, all right. I'm changing it, just a sec. Yeah, of course, as the wonderful keeper Jason said, Charles and I went to the Indian quarters to look for the tea shop, since we have a lead coming from the Mombasa's warehouse. We found out that it is run by a middle-aged woman called Taan Kaur, that apparently is a Sikh herself. So we taste a little bit of tea, we buy some more, and I actually noticed that one of the floor planks is a little bit ajar. So given the stories that I've been told about the Giorgio house back in America, I'm keen to believe there's actually some sort of hidden room or basement underneath. And since I am a stunning Indian stallion, I am invited to Madame Kaur Chess Club every other Wednesday afternoon. And on the end of the session, the keeper reminded us that new moon is actually next week. I believe that's all.
Yes,
we actually saw a man with handlebars mustache.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah,
drinking a big glass of port, but I didn't write down the name, but maybe because we didn't speak to him.
No, you didn't speak to him. He was sitting outside the Hampton House Hotel. At kind of, you just walked past on the way to the Indian Quarter, and then you saw Taan Kaur's shop and went in there.
All right.
But yeah, I just gave you a friendly wave. Cool. Okay. Well, you can certainly have your D8 of luck, Pranit, and of course, all of you get to do your improvement roll as well for luck.
All right.
There's always one that likes to deafen me with dice.
Do I do the improvement before or after the one that everybody does?
Do it before, because I'm nice.
All right. So as for the improvement,
what is that one supposed to be, Becky?
That's Dave.
That's Lister.
No.
Everyone else is dead, but Dave.
Oh, is it? Oh, right. Oh, right. Yeah, I see.
Where he's eating his crewmates because they're like sherbet on the surfaces.
Yeah. I just saw the black bit on his chest and thought that was like a bikini or something because it's so small.
And hello, Stephen.
Hello, Steve.
Oh, of course. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Well, I just got 4 points out of the summary. So I'm now at 15 luck.
15. And what about the other two?
My sanity is currently 83, while my hit points are 13, but I still have a major wound.
I meant the other two players, but that's fine too. Thank you.
Yeah, the two values. You got everything now.
Right, Perry. What have you got again?
I have got 96 sanity,
Yes.
18 luck, and 2 hit points.
Yes.
He also has a guilty conscience, a crushing inferiority complex,
Yep.
and
And it's not over yet.
No,
it's
I
not
imagine
over
it's
yet.
not. Charles?
Yes, I'm currently on 48 sanity and 37 luck, and I still have my bonus die.
You do indeed.
For a bonus die.
I miss this meme. I do have my bonus die still too.
Yes, you do.
Come on, that's
let
too
me-
soon, Becky.
Let me just clarify that Becky is not playing the reincarnation of.
I just don't care anymore now. We've done that.
At least
I
you
never
could
cared
play
to say.
the reincarnation of DMX.
Aha. Yeah. So anyway, did the players defeat the orbs? Yes, they did eventually. They doused them with water, chucked sand over them. They did eventually fizzle out, but they never found out who or what caused it. And the train guards and witnesses seem to think it was the irresponsible use of matches or lighters or something like that.
Bloody good match.
Even though I said I told the officers that the burning was from the outside of the compartment.
Yeah.
So actually that couldn't be our fault.
That's
So
what you
edgy.
told them.
So edgy. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah, very, very 2000s that. I used to wear t-shirts like that. Yes, anyway, so I believe it is now just to double check, after your kind of tea shop encounter, shall I say, with Muskawa, I assumed that there was nothing else that the two of you wanted to do before we got to Friday.
No, because we actually arranged our staying at the hotel.
Yeah.
And
Hotel Norfolk.
yeah, other than that, I do believe that we wanted to do everything else with Perry on our side.
Yeah.
Well, it's. I mean, at the risk of repetition, the sheer fact is Charles hasn't been involved in this situation anywhere near as long as Pranit and Perry have. You guys are still the focal point. I'm kind of the third wheel on this.
I'm sure you won't be for long.
Yeah, mostly because I'll be dead, so it won't be a problem.
We shall see. So in that case, you try and get some rest at the Hotel Norfolk. And of course, Perry is still in hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Perry, in particular, you have a very restless night's sleep. You constantly sort of you lapse into these dreams of feeling like you're carrying Constantina over your shoulder, feeling the heat, the screams coming from her, and then like sometimes she'd start turning into other people that you know, like members of your family, other people that you've met or encountered, like Francoise, Erica, various people. And it really makes you quite shaken by the time morning comes around, and you feel really quite exhausted mentally.
More exhausted when I went to sleep. Yeah,
absolutely. Sort of wet, drenched sheets, sort of thing, and of course, still very uncomfortable. And you're feeling as well in your hand. It's feeling kind of a bit stiffer than it has been before. And you're obviously quite worried about it, but you imagine it is, of course, from your wounds. With the other two, are you planning to kind of meet Perry like after breakfast or something like that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Okay, cool. So you all convene, of course. Whether you see this at the hotel, the hospital, doesn't really matter, but essentially the Nairobi Times has come out for the day, and you see Constantina's obituary in the paper. Let me just do that for a moment. So this is in the Nairobi Star. I don't know if I said Nairobi Times. I meant to say Nairobi Star. So it says Constantina Bavaria Parks, 22, was killed in a fire that struck the first-class carriage of the Wednesday train traveling from Mombasa to Nairobi. Police have concluded it as the use of irresponsible use of cigarette lighters, basically. However, they are still in the process of taking statements. Miss Bavaria Parks had traveled to Kenya from Egypt. Sources indicate that she had come to hunt, as she had 5 rifles in her possession when she died. The Nairobi Star is yet to approach her companion she leaves behind for comment. Miss Bavaria Parks' funeral will be held on Sunday at the Chapel of the Snows, led by Dr. Horace Starrett, before her body is sent back home at her companion's request.
May she hunt dragons in paradise.
All right.
I say that's a fitting tribute to her. Absolutely. Yes. Brings a tear to the eye. And hello for Duke.
Hello for Duke.
Hi for Duke.
Is it goodbye Fijuk yet? No, I love Fijuk.
No.
Still
He's
hello.
not said goodbye yet. He's
this
actually.
Yes. So you, well, certainly Perry, because I guess you're still kind of eating your breakfast. You try to eat something, and you do manage to eat, which actually kind of helps a bit, wakes you up a bit.
Lost your
there's
appetite, dear boy?
Sort of slightly watery coffee available, but it's good enough.
Yeah, I didn't sleep very well at all. I'm actually exhausted.
Yeah, I don't think any of us slept particularly well.
When is Constantina's funeral?
I do believe the paper stated it.
It was Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah, in a couple of
Sunday.
days.
Hopefully I'll be able to attend.
I think Constantina might try and murder you in your sleep as a ghost if you didn't attend. Or she'd ask Francois to come in her stead.
Oh no. Please no.
That'd be even
fair.
worse. Oh dear. Yes, anyway, so you're obviously not really ready to be discharged, but again, if you really want to press the doctors, they're not gonna make you stay in.
I'm going to attend the funeral.
Okay. I mean, that's obviously fine. However, given it's only Friday, what do you want to do before then? Are you intending to go with, or try and go with the others to sort out some matters with, say, Corridon and the barracks? Yes.
I'm going to try and get as much rest before Sunday as I can.
Okay. Well,
I wonder if we could send a message to see whether the lieutenant or the assistant governor could come to us rather than us going to Government House. That way Perry doesn't have to travel.
We might get someone to visit on like a from the government to visit a wounded citizen.
Yeah.
A wounded Canadian citizen, though. What should they care?
Still a Commonwealth citizen.
I don't know. I mean,
Especially
being in
Charles
the army myself, I don't see any high ups doing this sort of visits unless it is a photo op.
Yeah, you get that impression. Come to think of it,
I'm going to send a message anyway, and I'm going to specifically name myself and my father and say that we would greatly appreciate it. I'm hoping the name dropping will grease the wheel.
Mm-hmm. Where are you? Which sort of lead, as it were, are you sending this to?
Get the governor first.
Okay, Roger Corridon.
Well,
the undersecretary.
Colonial Undersecretary, yeah.
So colonial undersecretary.
Get him. I would agree. Getting the lieutenant might be a little more problematic. So let's go with the governor.
Is internal affairs, so the Undersecretary of Internal Affairs. So he might do, if we could say there's a bit of maybe a kick up of a bit of a stink from the Canadians or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. So obviously, yeah, you're going to drop your father or your daddy in there and hope that he's heard of him. Anything else specific you want to put in your message, or is it just kind of like a summons sort of thing?
Do we just come right out and ask him? We need to discuss.
We could if we want to get him there, we could always talk to him about Constantina and how we want to handle the funeral and stuff.
Yes, that's true.
How we want it covered press wise or not, in fact, or what? How we want to do that bit.
Mm-hmm. What? So are you trying to get him to come to you, or just kind of like? Oh right.
Yeah.
I'll get him to. Well, my thought is the more we can get people to come here, the less travel Perry has to do, so the more rest he gets. I still need you front and center along with Pranit for the questioning, because you guys have more of the background than I do.
Yep. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so you send off your message. Is it what, just like a paper message, and you get somebody to
send a telegram?
I mean,
hotel. Get the bellboy, the bellboy of the hotel to send it. Get the message over.
I mean, bear in mind you're at the hospital, so I mean, obviously you could like go back to the hotel and get a telegram. But I'm just thinking from where you are, if you're wanting to wait for somebody to come to you at the hospital is kind of the other side of the center. It's not like right next to your hotel sort of thing.
Oh well, there's but yeah, we'll just get some hospital note paper then.
Okay. Cooly mooly. Okay, so
we request your immediate attendance stop to discuss the funeral of our recently deceased friend. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a wounded friend who, if you don't see him soon, his heart might stop.
Right. Okay. Fair. Okay. Right. So you give that to somebody, tell them to send it over, etc., etc., and you're just sort of waiting, hopefully, for somebody to get back to you. But as you're kind of sitting, trying to pass the time and things, you see a woman who you don't recognize politely knock at your door. She appears to be English. She's got sort of dark hair tied back, sort of getting on to late 40s, you think. And she does seem to speak in English. She has a notebook, and she introduced herself as Natalie Smythe Forbes, because of course everybody English here is called bloody Smythe, aren't they? She is the head journalist of the Nairobi Star. I was hoping. I completely understand that this may be a very difficult time, but I was just hoping to ask a few questions about the train incident, if I may.
Is this at the hotel or the hospital?
This is at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And she looks like this. Quite sort of dressed sort of fairly prim and proper, very kind of English outfit. But she just kind of hold her posture. She's quite a confident looking person. Is
Good
this
morning.
is this not a good time?
No. Please come in. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, take a seat. Take a seat by the window. It's a lovely morning.
Yes, it is. Yes, quite often. I don't know if you've stayed in Nairobi before, gentlemen, but it can get a little bit worse for wear this time of year. More rain, etc., as the rainy season starts sweeping over. But yes, it is still a very nice morning today.
How long have you been here, Miss Smythe Forbes?
Oh, I have been looking after the Nairobi Star for a good 5-6 years. I am a very integral journalist, so I'm very much after reporting the truth and what really happened. Hence why I've, hopefully, if that's all right with you, come straight to the source.
Oh no, absolutely. You're just the person we want to talk to.
Yeah, we'll give you what help we can.
Well then, obviously I can do what I can, although I'm hoping that you can help me as well. Do you mind if I take your names first of all?
Perry Astor.
And she starts sort of writing away.
Pranit
By the way-
Singh Dillon, pleased to meet you.
And you, sir, and you.
I'm Charles Barrington-Smythe.
Oh,
of the Barrington-Smythes, yes.
I don't believe we're related. That was a joke. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm rather glad we're not related as well.
She sort of looks at you a bit funny and then tries to pretend to ignore you and goes back to writing.
Why?
So
why?
I am, of course, aware of the tragedy, what happened, and firstly, I must say I am terribly sorry for the loss of your friend, the other lady who was traveling with you. She must have suffered very much from what I've heard.
It was a very disturbing.
Yes.
I know. I just yeah.
Disturbing. Yes, that's the right word.
Yes.
Deeply upsetting for us all.
It's still very fresh, I'm afraid.
I completely understand. I will try and make this as delicate as possible, Mr. Astor. I am not one of these sensationalist tabloids that likes to go at all the shock factor. I prefer fact over shock factor, shall we say? But
that's good to know.
But yes, I believe you were caught in the thick of it, as it were. I know that the police are very much insisting it was irresponsible use of matches, and I believe the train guards were saying that as well. I have interviewed several witnesses on the train who presumably were there with you at the time, who seemed to indicate the same thing. But of course, it was your carriage, it seemed, it came from. So do you know what really happened exactly? Was it really the way I am no I am quite a skeptical woman, but at the same time open-minded, and it just seems like a match is a little unfeasible for such sheer damage that was caused.
It is. We were attacked.
Attacked? Well, by whom?
Oh, I've no idea. These things came from outside of the carriage through the wall. These balls of fire, and they set inside the carriage completely alight.
She looks, of course, very puzzled at that, and she looks at the rest of you and goes, "I'm sorry, balls of fire coming through the carriage."
Yeah, the thing is that our friend Perry here is still very suffering from the consequences of being injured and seeing a close friend of ours dying in his arms.
Yes.
What actually happened is like there weren't some sort of orbs or balls or whatever you may want to call it. We don't know that there were this kind of maybe we could define them as embers. But the odd thing about it, and I even told the police officers, is that they came from outside of our compartment. They managed to burn through the compartment wall, and then everything else happened.
That is very interesting. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this too. Is it possible, because from what I know of the line, there's nothing that really runs the other way unless there was another train coming, and as far as I'm aware, there were no trains traveling at that time the other direction. So perhaps it was.
We are baffled as you are. I don't actually know. I've never been to Africa before.
Could they have thrown their spears into the carriage? Perhaps. Perhaps there was a flame on them.
Do they throw flaming spears?
Well, no. I am thinking
maybe arrows.
These things chased us from the carriage into the corridor.
What, the tribesmen?
No, the flames.
The flames chased you. Well, I suppose the trains are quite old, so perhaps they caught a light on one of the seats. They are quite dangerous.
Well, in the commotion of the moment, that may have looked like fire was following us, right, Perry?
Well, the best way I could describe it, Miss Smythe-Forbes, using your spear analogy, was the flaming spears came out of nowhere, or we did not see their origin point, would be more accurate. They slammed into the side of our carriage, burned through the carriage, and continued into our compartment and out into the walkway outside of the compartments. But, and this is the important part, and this is the bit that I think you are going to find very hard to swallow. However, there are several witnesses who will attest to this. In this example, the spears were completely invisible. All we saw was the flames.
It would have been pitch black.
No. If you were right, I would tell you. No.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Barrington-Smythe. I have run the Nairobi Star for several years. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to what people see or what they think that they see.
And I can tell you now that what we are telling you is what was seen. It is a fact. I know that it is a difficult fact for those who were not there and did not see, to get their head around. But the facts remain. There was no spear.
But invisible spears, invisible whatever, is demonstrably impossible.
Oh, so you're
True.
right. It was a match that somehow chased us into the corridor and set us alight.
I'm
Absolutely.
not saying it was a match. Quite the opposite, in fact. It seemed like the flames spread far too quickly.
Mrs. Smythe Forbes, or is it Miss? I'm sorry. I didn't want to be rude.
As a keeper, I actually don't know. It would probably be Mrs.
All right. Mrs. Smythe Forbes, as you can clearly see, the commotion of the moment is still too vivid into the minds of my friends here. Perry needs his rest. If you wish to continue the discussion further, we may talk in front of a cup of tea while my friends rest a little bit, if you don't mind.
Certainly, or perhaps I could arrange to speak to you at another convenient time, perhaps in a more comfortable setting as well. You are, of course, welcome at the Star, and she gives you directions as to where it is. I don't know if well, certainly we can leave for now if you prefer. And she kind of flips a notepad back and puts it back in her handbag. You did mention though that you wanted my help. What sort of help are we talking about here? If it is to tell you where a brewery is, I'm afraid there isn't one.
No. Nothing so facetious. There was a expeditions several years ago made a splash in the local tabloids, and certainly the tabloids back home.
If you're talking about the Carlyle Expedition, it was very much more than a splash, Mr. Barrington.
Well, I was downplaying just slightly, but we would be very interested. Did you cover it yourself, or?
Well, of course I did.
Oh,
we are the
then
main
we would.
paper in Nairobi.
Then we would be very, very interested in when my friend is feeling a little better, having a very more in-depth discussion on that subject. That would be most helpful.
Absolutely. Is there anything specific you want to know about it? Anything I can tell you now? Off the top of my head, I did write the articles myself, but it may take me a little to remember, if that makes sense. They did come here 1919, after all.
Well, yes, but I assume that do you keep? Have you kept your notes that you took at the time? I know some reporters are very
I would certainly
conscientious.
I'm presuming, yes. I don't see why not. I'm sure that I still have the back articles, in fact.
That would be most helpful.
Well, I'd be happy to dig those up for you.
Thank you.
If you give me some time.
Thank you.
Please and thank you. Yes.
Yes. We would greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So, in terms of perhaps speaking with you further, I am open to what you wish at this point, because, as you say, you are obviously emotions are still very high, of course.
Yes, I must apologize for my abrupt nature. The loss of our friend has.
If it is okay with you, Mrs. Smythe Forbes, we may postpone this at least after the funeral, which is
yes, of course, please forgive me. I only had so much to make up for her obituary, but I hope it was all right. If you wish
Yes,
for anything to be amended or expanded upon, I am more than happy to put that in the next edition.
No problem. That was perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, you're very welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, in that case, I will not waste any more of your time. Thank you for what you're able to give me.
I stand up with her and offer my hand and just say thank you and shake her hand.
She's happy to take your hand.
Thank you.
So, are you planning to come and well, not collect, but planning to come and read the articles at the Star? Would you rather I try to make copies? That will take me more time to do that.
Probably go and see her at the Star, actually. It'd be easier.
Mm-hmm.
That way, I mean, the thing is, if she makes copies, if there's always the possibility we might ask a question and that she hasn't anticipated and therefore hasn't made a copy of it. So if we go to see her at the Star, then any information that we're after that she might have is going to be on tap. Might take us some doing to find it, but it means the information is there rather than her having to bring what she thinks we want to see and then maybe forgetting something.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, then. I look forward to seeing you again back at the Star. But again, thank you for your time, gentlemen. It is most appreciated. I will not waste any more of your time today.
Thank you very much, madam.
Yeah.
Good day to
Thank you.
And yes, she heads on off.
Excellent.
Guys. To paraphrase a great wise, you imbeciles. We are literally accused of vandalism, arson, and probably murder. And to the journalist that comes to ask questions, you speak about floating balls of fire. What the actual fuck?
That's what happened. That's the truth.
That's bullshit to anyone with a little bit of sanity left in them.
Well,
I mean, to be fair, Barry has the most sanity out of all of you, if you want to put into a number.
Bring it on.
Here's the situation. The lady came across as someone who would brook no insolence, and more importantly, came across as someone that would smell bullshit 1,000 miles away. If she saw us trying to concoct some story, yes, but that's her skepticism talking, not her bullshit radar.
She obviously thought the official story was rubbish. That's why she's here.
Yes.
So there was a chance she would have believed the truth, especially if she knew something like this had happened before. There was a chance she would have believed that.
Okay, let's put it this way. Newspapers are a big part, all right, of everyone's life, even policemen. Being an Indian myself, if I'm found guilty, I believe I'm getting hanged. I don't want to be hanged.
The only
please and thank you.
No, right. At the moment, at the moment, the police think we've done it. Right? At the moment, they may not say it, but that's what they'll think.
All right.
Because they are going to go with the simplest explanation possible. The only chance that we have to stop that sort of thing happening to all of us is finding a reporter who we can at least open her mind to the idea that there is another explanation.
Well,
you're going to shove the Necronomicon in front of her or something.
Surely the fact that there's no fire damage apart from 2 holes in the carriage wall, there's no fire damage in the compartment, and we actually caught fire in the corridor.
Again, the police will think the police are looking for simplest explanation.
Yeah, I'm
The
just
only
figuring
time-
out the policeman that interrogated us, and then the journalist saying, "Oh yeah, there are a bunch of knobs." That's not going to work out for us.
You need a trusted bastard. She'll get us out of it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? The moment we arrived in Kenya, let alone Nairobi, the moment we arrived in Kenya, they were on us.
I mean,
right? We are running. We are playing catch up here. We are not in any sort of proactive part at this at the moment. We're reacting.
As we can see, blame is coming from all quarters.
We got to find some ally somewhere.
We need to come up with a story. The truth is the truth. The evidence will back it up because it's the truth.
What you need is someone who's an investigator who isn't going to take the easy option.
I love this fourth wall.
Perfect idea. Is there anyone we can get like that?
According to the dead person, not right now.
I'm sorry, you've got to post up Stephen's last comment.
I haven't looked. What is it? There was a beautiful young filly whose laugh was a trifle silly. She got into a fight with a ball of light and sadly got burnt up willy-nilly. Steve, you can have a bonus die.
Yeah, I like his comment. A few comments earlier, actually. Will the players stay alive until I get back?
Yeah,
well,
tons of confidence in us there, obviously.
I mean, essentially, if you don't leave the hospital, then maybe.
Yeah, thank God we were just speaking to some sort of journalist, not policeman, not cultist. So
she could be the kind of investigator we need to at least come up with some who's ready to look at the facts and ready to accept that there's more than one explanation for what happened.
I think it is worth a gamble. I mean, there could have been a folklore for such things in the area.
Yeah.
And she might have gone, wow, that's a legend. How do you know it was never been to Kenya before?
Let's see before what she wrote about the Carlyle Expedition. Because locals are saying that the barren where they found the bodies is like cursed by the god of the black wind. If she somehow validated these sort of claims, then we can talk to her. Otherwise, it's like talking to anyone who hasn't experienced this sort of thing, so it's useless.
Of course, there was also another reason for telling the truth. If watching her reaction, if she was in with the cult and checking us out, then her reaction might have given her away. I've only just thought of that. So.
Yeah, that's actually a really good thought. That's a really good point, and I wish I'd thought of it as well. I do, however, I do love. The voice of Francoise
does ring strong in my ears.
That's not how you spell excusing. Although maybe in the Peruvian French accent it is.
That's excusing.
Yeah, so we be careful. She might not be entirely on our side anyway. Did we get the impression she was being straight with us, and truly interested in the story?
Make me psychology rolls if you want.
Psychology.
Why?
I do want, but I suck.
I don't know. I was too far gone to.
Ooh, I'm spending 7.
I haven't got enough to make that.
7 luck. Just to, what, a regular pass?
Yeah, unfortunately. I got the base 10 though, so that's something.
Yeah, get a tick.
Let me put it this way: if I spent all of my luck, I still wouldn't pass.
No
Yeah,
point.
same with me.
No point. Pranit got a pass. Yeah, you definitely think that she is being genuine. The only thing that kind of made you think a little bit was when she was saying that she was skeptical. You think that she is mostly, but you think that maybe there's not another bad side to her, but maybe another side that she doesn't really want to talk about in a hospital, like in a public place sort of thing. You think maybe the skepticism thing, she was kind of ramming home a little bit to kind of overcompensate for maybe she is a bit more open-minded in a maybe even a spiritualist sort of way.
Yeah, well, it's the 20s, isn't it? There's a lot of people into that stuff.
Yeah, true.
Well, either way, we are going to the Nairobi Star, so we may actually be able to find that out.
Well, if it's after the funeral, I might be able to come with you. So,
Okay. Right. So a little bit later on, somebody else comes and knocks at your door, and it is Mr. Corridon, Roger Corridon, who shakes your hands. He sort of tries to shake your hand, Perry, but then realizes, oh, actually, that's probably not the best idea because
yeah, it's pretty thickly bandaged at the moment.
state you're in. I apologize. I will refrain, but the thought is very much there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Corridon. Thank you for agreeing to come here.
Oh well, governor's a bit of an overstatement. I'm just a colonial undersecretary. You can call me Roger. It's absolutely fine. But
Roger.
yes, I got your message.
My associates here have some questions. Some about
Yes.
our friend's funeral arrangements. Some other questions regarding another topic.
Yes. You see, he has a kind of a large leather kind of suitcase, and he takes out almost like a big sort of writing pad of sorts in order to kind of take notes on. But also he has like a little paper calendar. And it says, yes, I believe your friend. By the way, I am terribly sorry for your loss. Her funeral is on Sunday. Is that right? I read in the paper this morning.
Yeah, yes, it is. Thank you very much.
I'm going to sort of get us some tea organized. Tea, Undersecretary.
Oh, right now, certainly.
Yes.
One always enjoys a cup of tea to have a think and reflect.
Tea, Pranit?
Yes, thank you.
Perry?
Just water.
Coffee or water? Okay. I'll be back in a few minutes. And I make a point of sort of quickly nodding to Pranit and Perry and said, I'm going to make my sort of excuses and I will rustle up some tea and they can start interrogating him.
You're not planning to forge some cups of tea, are you?
No, I'm going to actually go to the nurses' station and see about getting some cups of tea.
Okay. I was just wondering if you had some devilish scheme up your sleeve after.
No, my devilish scheme is I'm leaving the two guys who actually know what they need to ask alone with the guy that they want to ask.
Okay. Just checking. All right, so you make your way out, and you find a nurse's station fairly easily, and you start getting tea together and things. Maybe chatting up the nurse because you are Charles Barrington-Smythe after all. But we won't go into detail on that. Let's go back to the interrogation, if you will. So as you can see, Roger has not got a portrait He's let's see, he's sort of let's say late 30s, quite high, widow's peak, sideburns, dressed very smartly. Seems to have all the kind of administration tools at his disposal, bar a typewriter. But he's happy to listen, sort out any arrangements you might need, etc. You see, actually, when he kind of crosses his legs in a kind of, like openly crossed his legs, you can see he's wearing quite sort of zany patterned socks that you think he might have darned himself or somebody darned them for him. Very colourful.
Well, Mr. Gordon, we were primarily coming to talk to you before this incident about a friend of ours you might have met a while back, Elias Jackson.
Oh, Mr.
Jackson
Elias.
Yes.
Yes, I do remember him. Yes. Well, I to be honest, I wasn't expecting any of his friends to come out here. To be honest, I thought I disappointed him. That's certainly how it came across. But yes, he did speak to me. He was quite a romantic and excitable fellow. Why? What did you want to know?
Well, we were very interested in how the conversation went with him, what you discussed. He met with a rather unfortunate accident in New York.
I see.
We were retracing his footsteps and trying to complete his book for him.
My goodness, that's very admirable of you. But I know some authors and artists in particular are very dedicated to their craft, shall we say. Well, like I said, there wasn't really much to tell him. Like I said, he was quite disappointed, I think, with what I came out with.
In what way was he disappointed? What was?
Well, he knew that I was. I presume you're here as well about the Carlyle Expedition and things. They did speak to my colleague, Mr. German, the expedition, about just arranging things like trying to think what they're called out of character. Kind of people guides and things like that to take up with them into the mountains. They wanted to go up there on a trek, go on safari as well, I think, at some point or another. But they needed equipment and things like that. So Mr. German was responsible for that. But I was the one who, shall we say, kind of tied up any loose ends of the actual massacre incident. I was responsible for all the administration and paperwork and things. But there wasn't really much to tell about that either. Quite simply, there was a group of Nandis. There are a few tribes up there to the north of here where the massacre took place. They undoubtedly murdered, mutilated as part of some terrible, ghastly ceremony. All the main members of the expedition, they were all destroyed. Sorry, it's a little grisly thinking about.
There's not actually really a point in getting too much into details of what was found. But one thing, we are told that none of the bodies were actually white. So how did you link them with the Carlyle Expedition itself?
Well, I knew the general direction they were heading in. I liaised with Mr. German about the guides, what the guides were planning, things like that. We were all involved in the general affairs. And the two, well, not the two locations, the locations seemed to line up. So, of course they were all killed there. It's there's not really anything else about it.
Well, and we've heard stories that the bodies seem particularly dare I say, fresh. How did you link those fresh bodies with the older Carlyle Expedition?
I don't really understand what you mean by
Apparently, there wasn't
fresh.
much. We've heard there wasn't much decay on the bodies.
Oh,
Because we were told that the bodies were found several months after they actually left, but
yes, they were.
they looked like they died not that much time before the actual finding them back.
Once
Is it
again,
possible?
oh, go on.
Sorry, is it possible there was another expedition, or these were another group that have been confused for the Carlyle Expedition?
No, certainly not. So Nairobi is quite large, but it is again. I deal with I deal with affairs. I would know if there was another high-profile expedition in the area.
Not necessarily out of Nairobi. Perhaps they came from an alternate direction, from a different city, from a different starting point.
Well, apart from Mombasa, there isn't really anywhere to come from unless they really trekked all the way down from further north, which would be incredibly dangerous. There
What
is
about
Lake Victoria, of course, but no, nothing of that nature. By the way, as you're kind of listening to him, you can obviously tell that he is, trying to keep things under wraps a bit. And Pranit, you're not quite sure, because to be fair, you got an 11 rather than a 10 your passive roll. But what I'll say is that you definitely think that he's trying to, for bureaucratic reasons, try and keep things under the rug.
All right, so I lean towards him a little bit and I'm saying, what was it again? Undersecretary. Okay. Mr. Undersecretary.
Yes,
you see,
Mr. Dillon.
I am a former infantry soldier. I became a soldier because I'm not really the smartest of the bunch. So I'm going to be a little bit direct with what I'm saying. This whole conversation is off the record. All right? We are not telling anybody that you spoke to us, because, come on, let's be serious. You find a bunch of bodies and you just automatically assume they are part of the expedition, even if not a single detail collides with the others.
Just the general direction.
I mean, it's a little weak. I'm not implying that somebody didn't do their job properly, because I know that politics requires some sort of skills that unfortunately I do not possess. But since we are trying to make justice of our friend's work, we really need to know how things went down.
Maybe persuade roll, although given Perry's technically helping, I'll give you a bonus die.
Bonus die on persuade. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Actually, I'll say you can charm if you prefer.
Thank you.
Go on.
I mean, it's a 24 or a 10. I'm glad I'm going with the 24.
Charm the pants off him. No, Charles, that's your job.
Fuck. I'm spending another 5. That's a base success.
Ooh, is that with your bonus die, Pranit?
Yeah, the bonus die was actually a malus because it was 100.
Oh God, you do have your other bonus die, by the way.
Oh, right.
You want to save your sanity. Luck, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, I'm using the other bonus die. Hopefully, it won't suck that much ass. I'm just spending. No, that's fine. It's 22. Yeah, still at base success.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so he just kind of lean in a bit closer to you, and he says sort of quite firmly, "Yes, you do remind me of Mr. Elias. Obviously, you're quite an eclectic bunch of Bohemians, finding these weird and wonderful things in the backwaters of the world. I am quite a. I lost my train of thought here. What am I trying to say? I'm quite a practical man, and I like to ensure that everything is efficiently filed. Everything is intact and in place, and the case is closed. However, I do not know about this fresh body business. I didn't see any of the bodies. I simply recorded who they were and their whereabouts, etc., on paper. I can see if there are any records left of any witnesses to the massacre site, and the King's African Rifles do also have their own set of records for their search party, if you wish to them. He does seem quite firm, though, in not wanting to spill, but then again, you don't know if he fully knows either.
Okay. And is Lieutenant Selkirk, is he of the King's Rifles?
He was, if
Is
I
he
remember rightly.
Retired?
No. If I remember rightly, he was one of the witnesses to the massacre. I do believe he has been deceased for a few years, actually. Oh, well, no, I beg pardon, not a few years. A few months. I meant a few months. Yeah, if you wish to speak to his superiors, I'm sure they'll explain, but from what I know, it was a fire of sorts.
A fire?
That's most unfortunate.
Yes.
Where to? At his home, his barracks, or
at his home. At his home. It was well, I did not know him, but from what I heard, it was really quite tragic. It was a bit of a shock, I think, for the community, and he from what I know, he was quite an astute soldier. They obviously lost a good person.
And was his commanding officer, was that Colonel
Captain Montgomery, I believe you mean.
Oh, Captain Montgomery. Oh, okay.
Well, that's who I know at the top of my head. I presume that Montgomery was his superior as well at the time.
Okay.
Oh, here's the name of the other guy who Crompton mentioned. If you want it.
Was it? God, I seem to remember there was a colonel somewhere, wasn't there?
Yes, Colonel Endicott.
Yes, Endicott. That's right. But that wasn't his commanding officer.
No. Let me just.
I can't see it there.
So Corridon laughs and says, "No, no, Colonel Endicott. He's not really been serving for quite some time. He's more of a veteran. From what I know, he had a safari place out out in the sticks, things went a bit pear-shaped from what I know with the place.
Oh, not another fire, I hope.
No. I don't know what exactly, but he started receiving really quite bad reviews. So I don't think anybody's gone with him on safari for a while now.
Hmm. Oh, come on, copy. If we wanted to travel out to the site where these bodies were found, you could maybe help us by locating it on a map for us.
Oh, certainly. Yes, I can. By all means, I don't know if you're well enough to come to Government House, but we have many maps. I can simply point for you where it was. I remember it quite well.
Ah, good.
All right.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I may come by in the next hours or
All right.
tomorrow maybe, and then if it is still okay, I will grab a map so that my friend here can rest as long as he needs.
Yes, I with
sorry.
all due respect, I doubt you'll make it to the massacre site in that condition, Mr. Astor.
No, hopefully I'm hoping I'll recover quickly. I have a fairly strong constitution, but
Oh. Well, I'm obviously not insisting either way. I'm just giving my personal opinion.
do you know if there was in the vicinity of the murder site, are there any mountains or in the
Yes.
immediate? There is.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Why?
Just interested. It was mentioned in Elias's notes, but he didn't name the mountain.
Oh, well, I believe the locals have their own name for mountains around the place. But yes, I can show you. It sort of sits quite neatly in sort of a set of valleys and things. The mountains kind of snake around the left a bit. Quite a pretty area. Just a shame about the locals being so scared all the time. Really kind of ruins the atmosphere for any tours up there.
Oh, locals are scared all the time. I didn't realise that.
Yes. From what I've heard, we do get the odd complaint every so often, but you know what they're like. Always feeling so self-entitled after more things, more rights.
And what are they complaining about?
Oh, all sorts, Mr. Astor. If I went through the entire list, I'd be here for hours. No. You know, the usual things. They need more land. They need more resources, etc., etc.
All right. I do believe we are done, Barry.
Yes, I think so.
I would imagine at some point, by the way, Charles would have come in with the tea and things.
Well, I hope. I was waiting for it. Well, Mr. Corridan, if you're going back to the government house, I can come with so that I can grab the map,
certainly.
so that I leave you tomorrow to your weekend.
All right. Yes. Well, we are open. He kind of picks up his pocket watch from his pocket. We are open for another half an hour or so. So yes, like I said, I remember it very well. I can just get a map and point.
All right. Well, I don't think we're going to find a map in the hospital, so I have to go with them to the government house to pick one.
Not one as intricate as ours, I imagine.
I'll stay here with our friend here. Make sure he has a nice soothing cup of water.
Fair
It's
enough.
damn hot.
Well, it's
It
been
is.
rather close to the teapot, dear boy.
There is like a kind of mechanical fan going round in here, but yeah, it is still quite hot. Like I said, less humid than the coast, but even so. Okay. So the two of you then obviously leave Perry to have a bit of rest, and you head off to Government House, which is actually pretty close, if I remember rightly, to the hospital. So just a short walk over.
No, I'm staying with Perry.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Just
Amazon.
Pranit. Okay, cool. And you head off with
Mostly because it gives me a
Holiday.
chance to catch up with what was said when I wasn't in the room.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely fine. I'm just double checking the map quickly. See, I thought the Cairo map was hard to follow, but this has got just loads of different like little bits of fluff on it, which is nice, but also it's like I want to know where the hospital is. Anyway, so so that is it's and oh yeah, okay. So you kind of head out of this suburb of what's called Nairobi Hill, just to the south-ish west of the train line, and you head through across this rather nice big open park, very very pleasant. It appears to be like part of the grounds actually of Government House, and you get to the building itself, which has this very prominent Union Jack flying and things like that. More sort of segregated corridors and things as well in here. But because you're escorted, you are able to kind of get through without much problem. You do get the odd remark and funny luck, Pranit, but that's about it. And as you kind of head, there's like kind of like an area where there's a few different officers, and he turns to the left and starts heading in there. As you're doing that, this woman kind of barges past you. You think trying to get hold of somebody else who's heading into another office or kind of coming past simultaneously. And I'm just going to bring this up. And she says in quite a posh, well-spoken voice in English, "Excuse me, I'm hoping I can talk to you, Mr. German. I am from the Penhew Foundation. I just have a few questions for you, if I may."
What the fuck? No.
Shall we take a break there?
No.
On that cliffhanger?
Thank you.
I think I
Right.
need a cruise, maybe to Shanghai to recover.
A cruise. Yes.
Long cruise.
Long cruise.
Maybe around the Pacific.
All right,
Oh,
see you in a
yeah,
bit.
lots of volcanoes. Okay. They were so shocked with that revelation, they all ran away.
I'm back.
I'm so pleased to hear. Do you like my bottle opener?
That's pretty
I
edgy.
do.
Yes, I love it.
Hey, my mum
I
bought me this.
like
I think
that.
that's pretty good.
Yes, indeed.
That's a cool mum.
Oh no. She's an important character. I didn't
What?
realize that her portrait is doing different than the others. Anna James and Annie James. I'm not
Jones.
talking about your mother. Jones, yes.
I was going to say, my mother does not appear in this campaign.
But then again,
So-
she must be important because she's got a portrait.
Yeah. So I think the thing we need to discuss when we're all back together is just how long a cruise we want to take.
Around the world, I don't see any reason why
Both
you
in terms of distance and time.
I'm thinking, what, around the world in 80 years?
do.
I could live with that.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of the functioning drunk getting to live for 80 years, I'll take that.
It's been 84 years. Yes, anyway. So this lady just kind of barged past you, almost chasing who you presume to be Mr. German into his office. And she kind of almost repeats again. I'm sorry, maybe you didn't hear. I am from the Penhew Foundation. It's about the Carlyle Expedition. Hello? Excuse me. And eventually the man sort of almost kind of spins round with this kind of slightly puckered up mouth and says, but my schedule wasn't particularly open for such a spontaneous encounter, but I suppose I do have several. And she literally cuts him off, says, perfect, right, thank you. And she actually turns to you, Pranit, and says, a cup of tea, if you don't mind, please. Earl Grey, black, no sugar.
All right. I'm sure a waiter will be here shortly since I'm not one.
Oh, fine. Well, you must be on your break. At your colleague then, please. And she heads into the office and shuts the door herself as Mr. German goes in.
Oh, she's going to wait a long time for a cup of tea. All right.
What do you do?
I think out of interest, I think we should get to the tea. We should go to India, pick the leaves ourselves.
I mean, you literally have a tea shop in Nairobi. You don't have that excuse.
Not far enough.
Perhaps we should actually grow it before we pick it.
Yes,
From
and
seed.
and given that we're not specialists, we might have to take a few years perfecting it first.
Oh yeah.
By the way, this is the kind of glimpse of Mr. German you get. Again, with this sort of puckered mouth. But again, quite a smart-looking fellow. Neat, small moustache. Again, English, you think?
Right.
German, yeah, nice to-
Well, at least we know why he's got a puckered mouth. He's kissing her ass all day.
Well, I'm still following.
Whatever your internal thoughts are. Okay, yeah, cool. So you're still following Mr. Corridon.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. If you just want to completely ignore everything, that is all good.
So, I came into the government house escorted by someone I'm just not going to leave him there. So
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
grabbing the map. I'm
Yes.
noting the general area that is pointing.
Right, let me see if I can grab the map. It'll probably be a screen share more than anything.
Mhm.
But let me have a look. See. I'm just wondering because there's like there's a regular Nairobi map, but I'm sure that there was another one.
Well, if that's going to be some sort of handout, there's no rush in having it now.
I mean, it's not an official handout, but I can make it one.
Yeah, so there's no rush for it.
What you're not looking at is the smiles of enthusiasm of your
Uh-huh.
players when you said, "I will make that an official handout."
Well, I mean, every group is different, aren't they? They're going to need different pieces of information. Come on.
We need a lot.
I'm getting through as quickly as the PDF will load. Actually, I don't think there is one, or if it is, it's like a tiny little box. So how about I do this instead? Bring up Google Maps. Let me think. So, oh yeah. There we go. Okay, so
He's all on his own.
Is she? I mean, she could be just a. She could have nothing to do with it. She could be innocent. It's just.
Yes, and you might not be American. You might not be Canadian.
okay. So Google Maps. Down here in the red is Nairobi. Obviously, not as many roads because this is the present day, of course. But as you can see, there's loads of kind of mountain barrens over here. Lots of woodland on this side. This is all kind of plains here. And from what you can tell, the massacre site is, he sort of points vaguely to round here. So there are these big mountains here, one of which is the Aberdare National Park, aka the Aberdare Forest. Back then, it wasn't called National Park. There's a few sort of small villages around here. And then Mount Kenya is up here. So he says it's somewhere around here where the massacre was found, or the site was found. So just so you've got that in like thing. So
I thought he said he could pinpoint it, and he's just circled an area of like a couple 100,000 square miles there.
I wasn't talking to the nearest mile. I just meant in terms of a map. Remember, I didn't actually go there myself. I just did the paperwork.
All right. All right, that's fine.
Get rid of that now. Is that all good?
Yes. Once I get the map from Corridon, I will actually try and fix a cup of tea for Miss Jones.
Okay, not a problem. Any particular type of tea you get her?
The Earl Grey she asked.
Well, she did, yeah. I'm just double checking that you kind of get the right tea or whatever. Okay, so you you take it in. You can see that, like, straight away, Mr. German is looking a little bit flustered. She's kind of trying to. She's doing this tactic where she's asking lots of questions, in quite quick succession to kind of make him a bit floundered and hopefully open up about something. You think. But she's saying things like, "Now, I know things. I know things don't add up here with Sir Aubrey. I did used to work for him. Well, not for him specifically. His second in command. But even so, I've had quite a long journey. I was hoping you could give me a little more than that." And you can see Mr. German again. He's kind of tightening up his mouth, and he's sort of doing these weird sort of almost kind of breathing things, maybe to try and cope. You think maybe he's getting really anxious or something like that. And at that point, shall we bring in Miss Jones?
Oh. Oh.
You're muted, babe. Would you like to fully describe what Miss Jones looks like?
Annie Jones is an amazingly beautiful woman, very sophisticatedly dressed, very smart, and immaculately turned out. Okay, she's wearing she's wearing a dress with a shawl on top, and you notice she has a necklace, and the necklace appears to have some kind of, like, you can see the top of what appears to be a sort of feather, but it's sort of like it's almost like vulture hair. Like, although you can't see the whole thing, it's clearly the feather is like, how is that even a decoration? Like, that kind of makes no sense. Nonetheless, she is impeccably turned out, as I say. Like, she's obviously pressed and ironed everything despite of living out of a suitcase.
And presumably you give Miss Jones her tea.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. German, should we go over that again? Perhaps we can be a little more specific this time.
Well, you do have to understand, Miss Jones, that this is really quite sudden. The case has been closed for a long time now, and I was. This was simply confounded of you to turn up at such an inconvenient moment, I must say.
Nonetheless, here I am. So, let us go over the facts once more. From the beginning, Mr. German.
I'm staying in the room as long as I'm allowed.
Okay. Yeah, you think, judging from Mr. German's floundering, he's barely noticed you. He's way too focused on Annie and trying to either answer her questions, appease her, maybe something like that, but he's just not noticing you at all. So you can stay in there pretty much as long as you want. Excuse me. Well, for the last time, Miss Jones, there's not really much to add. I did liaise with Sir Aubrey, being the main person involved in the expedition, and all I did was provide guides and boys to help with equipment and things, and any financial advice and so on, anything of that nature. Whilst they were here, that's all I was doing.
And the survivors, Mr. German.
What survivors? What do you mean?
Of the guides and boys you provided, who survived?
Well, none. None survived. They all died. That's what a massacre is, woman.
Right. And so the 6 bodies that were found, supposedly all the Carlyle Expedition, and yet your 6 guides all died. So explain to me again.
What do you mean they all?
Where did they go?
What are you talking about? They all survived. A massacre is where a large group of people all get hurt or die quite gruesomely.
6 bodies, Mr. German, 6 bodies. That totals the number of guides. It does not include the expedition.
Well, look, you may have heard certain rumors, and maybe it was just 6 bodies that were examined, for all I know. But every body was either missing or dead, and it's been like that now for the past 6+ years. Nothing else has occurred since then.
Well, it does not add up, Mr. German. Where are all the other bodies?
Well, it may not add up to you, but to us who have been here, it certainly does. You've just come from England, from this foundation. What did Sir Aubrey task you to come here as a ghost?
No, Mr. Gavigan is in charge of the Foundation these days.
Oh, I see. That was your second in command you were referring to. Well, Mr. Gavigan, Sir Aubrey spoke of him occasionally, and he certainly hasn't contacted us since, so it can't be that important for him.
Well, one doesn't tend to do business with people who lose everybody on an expedition.
Well, all I'm saying
is, on your part.
All I'm saying is he can't be that much of a gentleman to send a poor young lady all the way down here.
Well, you can pucker up your lips a little more and hear what I have to say, because I've travelled a very long way. So,
yes, so you keep saying.
Where was the massacre? Who did it?
The massacre site was found at Aberdare Forest, or rather in that region. If you want proper specifics or coordinates, you'll have to go and see Fort Smith.
Right.
And he kind of changes his position in his chair and kind of either closes a book, something like that, as if he's finished what he needs to say, and he's not really going to say much further to you.
Well, that will be all for today.
Having said that, I just want to double check there's nothing else. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. I haven't got your stats for passive things, have I? I've just remembered.
Psychology is 50, if that's what you're after on this occasion. Spot hidden 44. Any other passives you need?
Listen and Dex.
Listen is 20, Dex is 55.
Your mythos is 7, isn't it?
Mythos is 7, yeah.
Yeah.
And occult 70.
Ah, yes. Okay. Ooh. Well, you've passed spot hidden. Hard pass, actually. He keeps his office very tidy. However, you notice that there is kind of on his there's like a top of a chest of drawers, like a large chest of drawers. It seems to be bare, but you can definitely see that something round did used to sit there, maybe about the size of a bottle or a pint glass, something like that. Excuse me. You can see where I think maybe the sunlight has kind of faded everything else a little bit, but not that area.
Why does that stand out to me? Why does that seem unusual?
It doesn't seem unusual particularly. It's just something that you notice. I mean, okay, I suppose it looks a little bit bare in here than would be expected, since this is his office, after all.
Mr. German, I say, and I'm going to go up to it, and I'm just going to run my finger along the top of this cabinet. How many years have you worked here now?
Going on 10.
In all that time, and you've not personalised this office at all?
Well, I do have certain things I wouldn't mind bringing in here. I've just yet to get around to it. I'm a
In
busy
10
man.
years.
Yes, and I'm a very busy man.
Where do you normally work, Mr. Jeremy?
Well, you're sitting in a chair right now in the place I work. What are you talking about?
No, I mean what room. This obviously isn't your office.
Well, of course it's my office.
Is
It
he
has my
lying to
name emblazoned on the bloody door.
Is he lying to me? I got the I'm feeling he's got another room somewhere.
Yeah, I mean he's got his the you do remember seeing like a plaque on the door, but you can give me psychology.
No.
You don't know if maybe he's either about to move somewhere, maybe he's taken all his stuff out, or perhaps it is just a case of he's hot desking or something like that.
Hello, Braden.
Hello, Braden.
Hey, Braden.
With that, I kind of stand up. I'll sort of sniff the air. Is it dusty in here?
A little bit, not super dusty.
And I'll sort of straighten out my clothes as I stand up, and I'll turn to leave the room.
Well, I suppose I'll take your teacup as well, shall I?
Well, I don't want it.
And he starts
I didn't
gathering
know
it
that
up.
China was a free gift.
And yeah, he kind of starts muttering something under his breath. You can't tell what it's saying though. It's just sort of mumbling and things.
And I sort of get out of the room and... Right, Fort something or other, wasn't it? Sorry, what was it? Fort
Smith.
Smith.
Do you come straight past Pranit because he's still in the room, just sort of he's been listening to
I
the
will
whole
be
conversation.
walking past him as I leave, but I kind of pay him no heed because I just assume his staff.
Yeah.
In fact, no, I would say to Mr. German, well, give it to your boy. Gesturing to Pranit, and then go to leave the room.
I don't recognize. Hold on. When did you come in? This is a private room.
I was bringing the Miss the TCX.
Well, go away then. You've been here far too long.
I was waiting to bring the cup away.
Well, here you go. Now go away.
I'm leaving as fast as I can.
As Pranit's leaving the room, and obviously he's going to come past me as I'm sort of fanning myself with my notebook. I feel sorry for you working for him.
I just whisper under my breath, we need to talk. And I go out of the office.
This godforsaken cult. And I'll follow you.
Do you follow me? All right. Of course, I leave the cup of tea anywhere I find, whether it is like a chair, a bench, or whatever.
Yeah, fine.
I wait until we're out of the government house, and I directly ask Miss Jones, "You are not really from the Penny Foundation, are you?"
I am.
You are.
Well, yes.
And after 6 years, you come here asking about the expedition.
Oh, I'm not here on Penny Foundation business, but I do work for the Penny Foundation. That is correct.
Oh, right. Because that sounded strange to me, how after 6 years that even Miss Erica Carlyle came down here. Now they started asking questions again.
No, this is a personal inquiry.
All right, then maybe if and when you'd like to share, I'll be willing to ask. But me and a couple of friends are actually investigating on the Carlyle Expedition, and I do agree with you that nothing adds up.
Oh, well, that's interesting. What have you learned?
I can actually tell you that none of the bodies that were examined, is that the pronunciation? I'm sorry, I'm not at the top of my game tonight. None of them were white.
Well,
I know that much, for example.
that does make some sense, because the quantities are mismatching. If it was a true massacre, there would be more bodies there. I'm just not getting answers on that.
Yeah, and nobody is willing to give them, apparently.
Well, my next stop was going to be this fort.
That's an interesting spot, but I'd like to know what your personal inquiry is, if I may.
Well, one does want to be a little cautious in revealing too much. There are many actors at play.
I know, but not revealing enough may prevent you from getting help from...
Let me ask you a question. Where do you stand on the... hang on, let me check my notebook. The cult of the bloody tongue.
They killed a couple of friends of us, so I'm on the other.
And your
Standing ground.
opinions... well, have you come across the Penhew Foundation? You mentioned you'd heard of them.
Yes, and that's why I'm asking why you're here.
And your opinion of the Penhew Foundation?
Roughly the same as the cult of the bloody tongue.
Then I think we can get along just fine. My personal inquiry is that I've grown some suspicions of Mr. Gavigan, and, well, see, I worked as a researcher at the Penhew Foundation. I would catalogue artifacts, and some things just weren't adding up in the way the artifacts were being, well, stored and moved, and in some cases I believe something was manufactured, which seemed rather peculiar. I mean, why would you even manufacture an artifact? Not terribly sure exactly what that was, and anyway, I went to this country estate that he had
The Miser
dealings
House.
with. That's right, yes. And, well, it was all the police surrounding it and everything, and everything was rather peculiar, and then he was arrested, and, well, then he broke out, you see. So,
Even his friend Shafiq did.
yes. Oh, gosh, what a terrible woman she is. Well, anyway...
Was.
Well, she escaped too, and anyway, when they broke out, I may have actually broken into his office and done a little digging, and I think there's a lot more going on here. They appear to be very deeply involved in some occult dealings, and well, I know a thing or two about that myself, and you see it. Well, I don't know how much you're prepared to understand in terms of things that are hard to explain.
Try me.
Well, there are other worlds in other dimensions, and this cult, I believe, is trying to link our world to another.
I'm not struggling a single bit to believe what you say. On the other hand, what I'm keen to say is that I can honestly trust you because you've been spilling way too much. Way too much. If you were on the opposite side as I am, you'd be, I believe, no offense, incredibly dumb to share so much as you just did. So, given the fact that most of what you said just confirms what we found out so far, I believe I need to introduce you to my companions, and then we can all go to Fort Smith if you wish.
Well, that would be delightful, and I do apologize for mistaking you for the tea boy.
I'm struggling a little bit to get accustomed to this in Kenya, but yeah, no problem. My name is Pranit, by the way.
Oh, Annie Jones, pleased to meet you.
Likewise. So if you follow me, spiffing.
Yes.
Okay, that's new.
Oh, really?
If you mind,
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's a very
delightful.
that's a
I'm
very
sorry.
old sort of posh English
Posh, right?
idiom for things being really great.
All right.
Although
Spiffing.
weirdly, Fozzie Bear on the Muppets has said the word spiffing before. So, yeah, but anyway. Okay, so what? So you're kind of convening back to the hospital? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. I guess because again, demeanor. Charles, you see Annie first, and kind of taken aback by her looks. But yes, this rather good-looking woman is brought into the wing by Pranit.
I sort of turn to Perry and I say, "What ho? Pranit went for maps and he's brought back a rather fetching lovely."
Really?
Please.
Yes.
Did he get distracted?
Charles. Now. I actually made a friend at the government house.
I say, Perry Astor. Well, I am surprised to see you here. I don't think you know me. We met only in passing, I believe. Annie Jones, from the library at Pennyhue Foundation. You spent some time there.
Yes, I did. With a friend of mine, yes.
I'd better cross you off my list of suspects.
I'm very pleased to hear that. List of suspects. List of suspects is a very strange term to be using.
I kind of look to Pranit to sort of ask, is this okay? Are these the people?
I mean, yes.
Well, members of the cult.
Right. So you're aware of.
Oh, still, I'm
goes on.
sorry that you found Miss Our house surrounded by police. That was actually our fault.
Yeah, that was us. I'm afraid. Things
what
got
did
a
you
bit
do?
out of hand. We had to sort of set a fire so we could get out.
And also, Shafiq is dead.
Dead, you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
After
That's
her
our fault
escape.
too. Yes.
And
And Gavigan?
we haven't seen Gavigan since he was arrested in England.
Well, I'm afraid to
We
say
don't know
he's
what
escaped.
happened then. Yeah, we knew that. We knew that.
Why do I feel? Why do I continue to feel like I'm someone who's walked into a murder mystery movie halfway through?
Because that's exactly what happened.
Well, it was slightly before halfway, but yes.
And my friend, you saw me with at the Penhu Foundation. I'm afraid he passed in Egypt.
Which one was that?
Winston,
Mr. Green.
Mr. Green.
Rings no bell.
I believe he came to the Penny Foundation with Perry.
Yes, he was the one. We were there on a pretense of arranging the expedition to Egypt.
Wait, I had your name linked to someone. A specialist in Egyptian hieroglyphs, I believe.
A fine French woman. Yes, that is entirely true. Expert in her own field.
And how is she?
You just couldn't let it lie, could you?
I wouldn't.
So how is she connected to everything? Because there was a certain air of curiosity about her when I was at Penhu. Her name was mentioned a lot. They were trying to find out more about her.
Françoise Pelletier. Unfortunately, she passed too.
In a very surprising confrontation.
One way to put it.
I see. Well, that was the bloody tongue, was it?
No.
Oh, another actor.
No, that was the
literal.
What did he call it? What did he call himself? Black Pharaoh, wasn't it?
Yes,
yes,
Pharaoh,
that's
yes.
what he called himself. Yes, it was.
From the paintings.
From the paintings, but the actual whatever he claims to be, yes, killed her with a word and.
He wasn't very nice.
Let me just put
world's biggest
It was
understatement.
More physical exertion rather than action over words.
Let me just put in a few cross-referenceable notes here in a few different places.
You're going to need a bigger book.
Perhaps a board in cork.
And just finally, what spells do you know?
I have picked up a couple, actually. How are you aware of spells? It's not generally accepted that they're real things.
And with that,
she kills us all.
End of campaign. That was good, everybody. Yep, good.
I was just deciding whether to do something or not, and I think no.
You are in an open area, just to bear in mind.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that too. Oh, as in people can overhear us?
Not necessarily. You haven't seen anybody, but people could potentially see you from a long way away. You're basically just outside Government House, but again, like I was saying to Pranit, there's like the big sort of grounds that you're kind of either walking through or actually no, I beg your pardon. What am I talking about? You're all
we are back.
You're all meeting back together. Yeah, I beg your pardon. Sorry, you're at the hospital. Ignore that.
Have I got a private room? Are we in a ward?
I'll put it to you this way. If they were going to put him in a ward, I've paid for a private room.
Oh, all right. There we go. I did for some reason envisage a fairly small room, but yeah, Charles will give you a private one.
To answer your question, I assumed that's why you were in the library at the Penhu Foundation.
No, I'm afraid it wasn't.
Such things?
No.
Well,
I've come across
an opportunity there.
I've come across these in Egypt, in meeting with Egyptian god Bast. Bigger book.
I see. It's okay. I've still got space under B.
Maybe sort of 650 odd pages big.
Yes,
Right. Well, what's next then on your agendas?
Well, we did come with a list of people we wanted to talk to, supplied by our friend Jackson Elias. We've talked to a couple, but we've just found out just earlier today that Lieutenant Selkirk, one of the main people we wanted to talk to, has died in quite a suspicious way. A way that is very familiar.
Yes, rather echoes recent events for ourselves. However, we did gain ourselves another possible lead with that newspaper lady.
Yes, I was wondering if it would be worth talking to her about any reports about the this death of Lieutenant Selkirk, because it was quite a strange death. He apparently died. He's died in a fire, which seems to be a recurring theme. It's happened to us in London and here in
Cairo too,
and again here in Kenya.
Yeah.
It seems to be a way that the cult seems to get rid of people.
And
That
evidence.
and withering you away, judging by the former employee list of Penny.
Oh, it was people going
This
missing.
appears to be an issue in the past. Withering hands and such.
Oh.
What?
You've
not experienced that then? Brackets you have.
Not
brackets.
personally, no.
Yes, Pranit has.
I thought Francoise did.
Francoise did, but also Pranit did as well.
Also, Pranit did as well when he used the sword. He got the withering hand, the withering arm.
Yes.
So that
right.
fucking sorcerer. I have one less hit point because of that.
Didn't Perry get something on his chest, kind of similar?
Yeah, I got a sort of.
Yes, that was from Shafiq. So Shafiq kind of withered his chest and also did the same to Francois's hands. Although the chest thing is okay now, it's more just everything else that's.
It's just the burns now.
It's just all the burns.
I think asking that lady about the lieutenant's death may help our overall investigation, but could help us with our more immediate concerns as well.
Well, I think we should.
Why are there so many damn tourists in this country? It's the middle of nowhere.
Apparently, they come for the shooting.
This many.
Never has such an innocent comment had so many sinister connotations.
No,
They come for the shooting.
I mean that seriously. There are far too many. Have you not noticed?
Oh, we've never been before, so no. And I've only been in the hospital.
Well,
so.
Look, I've not been here before, but one has certain expectations, and it certainly isn't trains full of white people.
Trains full of white people? Is there a lot of people coming in, is there?
Yes. Did you not notice
daily,
yourselves?
weekly?
How long have you been here?
But days. 2 days.
Yes, and I've only been in the hospital. I've not left the hospital yet.
I see. Well, but I mean, surely, on your own train. Did you not look around the carriage?
I was slightly busy on the train.
Well, I did notice that there were a fair few white people I was bashing past when I was getting the bucket of sand, I must admit, yes.
Huh.
Yes, that's something worth looking through. One of the clues we had was the train station, I believe.
Indeed.
In Vice's notes,
Yeah, we got the first Smith. That was where Miss Jones was actually going. We got the train station. We got to find out what happened to Selkirk. We got the tea shop.
Endicott as well.
Endicott as well.
mentioning.
I mean, I
We're
think
gonna, we're, yeah,
Man,
we're going to have to prioritize.
well, I think Miss Jones is quite correct. We do need to go to the fort and see Captain Montgomery and ask to see the official military records of the search. But I think it would be worth swinging by the paper on the way and finding out what they reported
Yes.
about Selkirk's death.
The tea shop, I think, I do believe we must deal with that, but that can wait until we return.
Mm.
I agree.
Yes. For Miss Jones's benefit, they seem to be moving things through different shops.
Yeah, different warehouses.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I came here. I was following the paperwork. Well, this is one of the things I wanted to follow up. Yes.
Well, one of the destinations, according to the ledger, was a local tea shop. Myself and Pranit went there. Nice lady, bought some tea, but unfortunately, we weren't able to make any significant investigation. However, she seemed rather taken with our friend Pranit here, and asked him if he was available to play chess. So
Yeah,
we were considering. Yes, but we had discussed the possibility of you perhaps arranging a match at the hotel prior to Wednesday. And that would get her away from the shop, and we could investigate the building.
The loose floorboard, yes?
Well, there's lots of places to work. Yes, there was a loose floorboard.
How do you know about that?
There's always a loose floorboard.
I've been investigating too, you know.
Okay, so
Would
give
you
me the
believe-
shot. Okay, fine.
Would you believe my accrued knowledge is almost identical to yours?
I wonder how that happened.
That's witchcraft.
No, it is a remarkably consistent pattern of behaviour for them. I was doing some research on a cult that got broken up in America by
Yeah, the Giorgio house.
The Giorgio house.
I wasn't there. I don't know the name of the shop.
No,
That's role playing.
I met some of the people that were involved in that, and that was the cult.
Yes, another loose floorboard situation.
Yes.
Well, a loose mat, more like, but.
But it might be worth Charles and Pranit, when you get back to the hotel, maybe showing Miss Jones the Gavagan's ledger, if she can shed any more light on any of those entries.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
It has a ledger of exports and imports.
Oh, right. I've seen most of his ledgers already.
Well, this was kept in a secret dungeon at the.
Was it in the basement of Miser House?
It was in the it was in
behind
that
the
secret.
fireplace.
Yeah,
Oh, loose floorboard again, was it?
pretty close.
No, it was a loose wall.
Oh, they're getting more inventive.
They do seem to like their loose things, don't they?
Don't finish off that.
That's a case of Charles just commenting because he
right.
wasn't there at Miser House.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. we do have a fair amount of information we can fill you in on. So perhaps if you have dinner with Charles and Pranit, they can fill you in a little bit more on catch you up a little bit more on.
I was just about to say, yeah, it's around about lunchtime.
Spiffing.
Recent. Yes, I don't think the hospital food is that great.
Yes. So, what's the plan? There are various restaurants you could eat at, or back at the hotel, of course.
I'd say one halfway, so that we can go back to the hotel and exchange notes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, your hotel is much nicer than mine.
I'm not paying. That's the only reason. Otherwise, we'll be sleeping under a bridge.
I think my hotel is under a bridge.
Spiffing?
Not really, no.
No, I wish.
Seriously, Adobe is a pain in the arse.
The room service is served on the back of cockroaches.
I think we can do a tad better than that, Miss Jones. I would suggest for security and our ability to exchange information properly, we should endeavour to get you a room at our hotel.
Well, is this another one of these I don't have to pay for it rooms?
Well, yes, because you will be paying in the sense that you will be providing information and aiding us. And no, it's not any flirting, Stevie. Get your mind out.
Character is super fucking hot.
Highest appearance.
So they're all in the same
I'm still
room, one
trying to work out the dichotomy of a man who can see flirting when it's not happening, but can't see a vagina when it's perfectly obvious in front of us.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Steve, I still don't get.
It's so that all the players are in one place when the cult comes from. Or they'll be in that same hotel.
Right. So, I guess it kind of depends if you tell me whereabouts roughly you want to eat, because that could make a little bit of a difference. You know that, of course, again, there are kind of places in the center where you could eat. There's also the European district out to the west, and the west of your hotel, actually. And there's like an arboretum adjacent to that where you could potentially, sit with some food and things. So,
Yeah, I'd say that.
it is entirely up to you.
Stevie!
Yeah, I'd say
I'm
the
actually way
European
hotter than
district.
Constantina.
Yeah, I was going to say your appearance is far superior to Constantina's, apparently. So yeah, where do you fancy eating, and do you take Perry with you?
Yeah,
I
I'd
think
say
Perry-
we can all
yeah.
go to the European quarters.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can get me a wheelchair. You can.
Yeah,
We can
we'll
stroll
organise that. I think a nice sort of big sort of proper meal, not the hospital rations. Nice proper meal on you.
Okay, coolio. They do offer you a wheelchair if you want, Perry.
Yes, I think I have a wheelchair. I've got my hat, my clothes, but I'll probably need more. I've got clothes left because they were burnt on the train. Might have my hat. Might have been anything that survived.
Okay. Yeah, so you find a nice place overlooking the Arboretum, I'll say, which is actually, it's not too far from the hospital anyway, so, it's fairly simple to get to and things. So yeah, you have a bit of lunch. Anything you want to discuss over lunch, or are you keen to kind of press on either, I don't know, compare... I couldn't remember if it was comparing notes at the hotel first or going to Fort Smith's or something else.
I think
Uh,
over lunch we will probably want to bring Annie up to speed.
Yeah, bring Annie up to speed. How far away are we from the hotel?
You are, as the crow flies, about half a mile.
Well, what
it's
I'll
not
do is
much at all.
whilst I will make my excuses at a point when Pranit and Perry are going to sort of bring Annie right up to speed with everything that's going on, and I will go to the hotel
Okay.
with two specific intentions. One, to see if there's clothes in Perry's size that I might be able to acquire to get him a nice, get him
Yeah.
change of
It'll be
clothes,
my stuff.
and to get Annie's room sorted as well. Same floor.
What floor? Sorry.
Same floor as the rest of us.
Oh, same. I thought it said 10
Yeah.
floor.
No.
Okay.
We booked the suite, didn't we?
You booked the suite on the top floor, but there's not 10 floors, anything like that. But let's say there's 5 floors. It's fairly sort of.
No, we booked the suite. Is there another? Is there another room in the suite that she can have? If there is, she's got that. If not, then I'd like her to get a room on the same floor if possible.
I think you could certainly get a room on the same floor. Yeah. Let me just see if there's any room this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just for practical purposes. It's just best we're all on the same floor.
Yeah, there is another kind of area in the suite she can use. However, I would like you, Charles, to make me a luck roll.
No, you don't.
I really would, because it would help with things turning in my mind.
I'm going to use my bonus die.
Okay.
My first roll was better.
Okay.
It didn't miss by much.
Well, you can't spend any luck on a luck roll, unfortunately.
I know, this is the problem. The annoying thing is my first roll was 39. My luck is 37.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very close.
Okay, fine. So you head on over to reception. They say that they're more than happy to order in some new clothes for Perry. They need to take his measurements, things like that, if they want to be specifically tailored, or if you have his sizes, they can arrange something.
Yeah, we might swing him by. I'm more sort of tempted to see, whilst they're getting measurements, to get him something nice, to see if they've got anything off the rack as well that he can just take there and then.
Well, my luggage will be back at the hotel.
Yes, that's true.
Grab stuff off of there then. Keep forgetting we're all in the same bloody room.
Yeah, you're in the same place. Yeah. Okay, so you get back into your room and you grab some clothing. Anything else you want to get whilst you're here?
No, not particularly.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I guess you grab a couple of pairs of shirts and trousers for Perry and things, and
just something so he's got something to wear rather than them in, hospital shit.
Yeah, of course.
Well, make him look a little less like a patient. I know he's in a wheelchair, but that doesn't mean he can't look smart.
Yes, fair enough. Okay, cool. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything. No. Okay. So yeah, presumably you head back to the Arboretum, do you? Unless there's anything else. Yeah. Okay. Charles comes brandishing some of your clothes, Perry.
Oh, thank you, Charles. That's going to be a lot more comfortable.
I mean, you're in a public place, so good luck getting changed, but okay.
I won't get changed now. No, that's going to be a lot more comfortable.
All right. So you finish your lunch. So are you off to Fort Smith next?
Is
I'd
it in
say
the same
so, yes.
town? Or is it
Newspaper
out of
bears.
town?
If I recall correctly, it wasn't that far. I mean, far, yes, not that much.
You haven't actually been near Fort Smith yet. You asked for directions. There is a way to kind of get through fairly quickly, but it is kind of on the other side of the main central suburbs. It is a fort after all, and it's kind of like up a little hill sort of thing.
Okay,
But-
we'll do the newspaper first then, I guess.
Sure, yeah, that is technically a little bit closer, only a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of back in the center of the city. Okay, coolio. So, you head to the Nairobi Star, and I'm just trying to find the page of that. That's right here. Lovely. So Natalie Smythe Forbes is there, and she says, "Oh, hello again. I wasn't expecting you so early, especially you, if you don't mind me saying, Mr. Astor. Are you feeling a little better?"
Yes, my friends have kindly taken me out. Bit of a change of scenery.
Oh,
Does the world of good.
that's very good to hear. I suppose they do say the fresh air is very good for the soul, don't they? Well, I haven't quite finished finding things. Like I said, you came a little earlier than I expected. But
Well, we've actually come on our way past. Actually, we thought we'd just stop in to ask a quick question.
yes.
When you told us that Lieutenant Selkirk had died. Oh no, it wasn't her. Was it? It was the other guy.
I didn't, but you are correct. Yes.
Yes, I was
He is
wondering.
deceased.
What was your report on his death? How did he die?
By this point, she's kind of like she's sort of let you like take a seat, and she's got like an assistant secretary thing to get some refreshments and things. And she says, "Well, I didn't want to say at the time in the hospital, but that honestly was partially why I approached you separately to the police and their findings. The fact that fires inexplicably happened in fairly close proximity chronologically certainly raised my eyebrows. Let's put it like that.
As it should.
It was very much dismissed in a similar sort of way, in that he may have knocked over an oil lamp or something like that. But again, the way the fire seemed to move, shall we say, was a little dubious. I did report it as simply a terrible tragedy, which it was. He was the only casualty. However, he did live alone, and it was only a small place. But interestingly, again, something that I've always kind of kept to myself, because even though I am the publisher for the Star, I still I'm almost at the mercy of the British influence here. And they like to keep a lid on certain things if it doesn't sound particularly, shall I say, appealing to them. They like to maintain a sense of normality, I suppose, here, given we are a colony. They want something for others to aspire to. But one thing that did strike me that was interesting, whether this helps or not, is that Lieutenant Selkirk, he only had a small place, and it was very closely packed into other houses. and there was no sign of the fire spreading at all to any other buildings or even, surrounding the infrastructure of his own, which, given the weather at the time, so very dry, if you're not familiar with the seasons here in Nairobi, it would have been perfect breeding ground for fire, and yet it didn't.
And did it take a long time for any responders to put the fire out? Is it difficult to extinguish?
Not really, no. There were small patches of fire, I believe, but they were fairly quickly put out. Not that I wasn't there at the time, but it was simply a communal effort, and then the police arrived, and by that point, any essence of the fire had been put out.
Yep.
Because I know you found what myself and Charles said this morning to be quite fantastic, but it's not the first time it's happened. We have come across this a number of times.
I don't know if it is the same trend at all, because there isn't any proof. But to tell you the truth, and again, I didn't really want to talk about this in a hospital, especially, but I do have a bit of an open mind about the unexplained. And I certainly think that at least some of your testimony is truth and viable. However, I can't possibly put that in my newspaper, as you can probably understand. Nobody would believe me, and they would think I was cuckoo. They'd put me in an asylum.
But do you acknowledge, do you accept that the coincidences, the similarities between what happened at the lieutenant's house and what happened on the train are enough to pique your journalistic curiosity?
Well, like I said, if you were listening, Mr. Barrington-Smythe, that's the reason why I came to the hospital in the first place. Or else I would have just taken the word of the police.
If you were listening, pay attention.
I was listening intently. I was merely clarifying.
Whatever you want to call it, Mr. Barrington-Smythe. You haven't introduced me, by the way, to your new friend, your new lady friend here.
I think I may need to go to the burn unit afterwards.
I'm Annie Jones. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Smythe Forbes.
She gives you quite a firm, warm handshake and kind of looks at you in the eye, very kind of warmly, actually, and says, it is a pleasure to meet you too. It is quite a nice change to see another astute woman here. I do miss that sometimes.
Indeed. You know, what we do not understand, whether it be fire or other topics, I mean, it is often dismissed as magic or madness, but I have begun to wonder with these tales if somebody simply understands fire better than us.
What do you mean, understands? We all learned what fire was millions of years ago, did we not?
But what if it's not actually fire, but we're simply thinking of it as fire because that's the nearest thing to it that we understand? Like, I can't tell the difference between helium and hydrogen. These aren't things I understand.
I'm afraid I don't either, really. I'm not in chemistry at all.
That's about the only two words of science I know. But my point is, I think we just don't know what these flames were. That we're calling them flames, but maybe they aren't. Maybe it's simply something we haven't yet understood. A new technology.
That would explain your colleague's choice of words, things like invisible, floating.
Yes. And I wonder if it's, some kind of new technology, maybe a new weapon or something. Perhaps.
Technology.
Well, I say technology, but I mean,
Well, that is quite serious. A technology implies that there is some huge organization behind all this.
That's why I spoke about embers also, because of the hard time people will have to understand this. You said you have an open mind, so you're more
Yes, I
keen to
do.
believe what we're saying.
I do, but first you were saying about invisible spears, now you're saying about some technology.
well, it's simply how I'm rationalizing what they've said.
So I'm just reading the chat there. Well, anyway, that is certainly food for thought. But didn't you you wanted to look at some articles with the expedition, didn't you? Like I said, I haven't
Yes, very much
finished.
so.
So you are more than welcome to spend time looking through the archives if you want. But I have managed to find a few little snippets.
Oh, that's excellent.
So, because of the kind of amount of time has passed again, she hasn't found everything. So, you can give me a library use roll to determine how long it takes if you do want to have a thorough look, which presumably you do.
Rolling me dice. Oh, that is a pass.
Yeah, I'm doing it, but I'd rather leave it to anyone that, yeah.
What
That's quite a big
library?
goal, but nowhere near enough for me to get into library usage.
Where's the library?
Yeah, not even close.
Where's the library?
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
The libraries. Okay, so just any passes. Obviously, give it a tick. Okay, so it takes. What? Sorry.
Oh, no, you did say my name. I heard you say Danny in my ear, and I'm like, no.
No, I said Annie. I definitely said
I
Annie.
passed too, and then I realised there is no Danny in the group.
No,
you must have
though, that
meant
was me. That was me at some other point, wasn't it? Certainly not playing Danny. Yes, so it takes you a bit longer to find other bits of information, but yes, you do find some bits and pieces about it. Firstly, you find an article, and again, I haven't got any kind of handouts per se for this, unfortunately, but I'll try and paraphrase for you and keep it concise. Nothing like the Carlyle Bulletin, by the way. It's a lot sort of briefer, you'll be pleased to know. There was a report, firstly, about the Carlyle Expedition mounting a trek to confirm data that was gathered in Egypt. And that was their kind of main reason for being here. Particularly concerning the followers of a religious leader who migrated southward into Kenya. While in Nairobi, they stayed at various places, including Hampton House, and they also went and spent a few days at Colonel Endicott's hunting lodge. You also find a photo, which appears to be like a departure photo. They're all kind of there together with their stuff. And a couple of things strike you, especially you, Annie, given your background with the Penhew Foundation. Sir Aubrey looks exceptionally young, especially compared to any portraits that, kind of emblazoned on the walls of the building. He looks kind of in his 30s almost, whereas you knew that certainly when he supposedly passed or disappeared or whatever, he was definitely in his 50s and most of his hair was a brilliant white. This is only a couple of strands of silver in his hair.
Is this an archive photograph? I initially think and say out loud.
Oh, well, like I said, it was from 1919. Yes.
He is too young.
Is he the only one in the picture that looks young?
In terms of looking young, yes. However, one thing that you also notice is Hypatia looks a little plumper, a little dumpier than you saw in the other photo. Those of you who were in the Cairo Museum.
I think that was
beg
me
pardon,
and
not Cairo
Winston,
Museum.
wasn't it?
Cairo Bulletin, I beg your pardon. That was where you saw the
Oh.
picture of Hypatia.
Who?
Pregnant?
Possibly.
Possible.
How is she carrying the weight?
It's a little tricky to tell. It might be pregnant, or maybe she just put on a bit of weight. Oh, actually, Annie, have you got medicine?
You know, I took it out and put it into first aid.
Oh,
But I have 1% and a lot
got
of luck.
you do, yes.
Do I spend 26?
Oh,
That is a lot, isn't it?
It's
You
a
It's a
lot.
don't
lot.
spend that much.
I think we could just work on the premise she might be.
Birthing some kind of.
It's worth
second
noting
perhaps.
that is worth noting. So it might be Carlyle's then.
It might be the second coming of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
second
Excuse
coming.
me for taking a more sinister twist to it, but
No. It's a genuine question. If she's pregnant, who's the daddy?
It's only going to be someone in
the
the
genuine
expedition.
question is: if she's pregnant, is it a baby?
Yes, is it someone in the expedition, or is
Well, it's going to be a baby. A baby. What is then the more accurate one?
Okay. The last sort of report you find is about the kind of discovering of the bodies at the massacre site. It gives credit in particular to Lieutenant Mark Selkirk. And there was also a squad of men he had in terms of finding the remains. A later report describes the capture of 5 Nandi men, who were the ones who were tried and found guilty for the murders. And there's also a rather grisly accompanying photo of the 5 men swinging from the gallows.
No particular names about Selkirk's squad he took with him then.
No, I'm going to say, just because I haven't got that in front of me. But,
No, okay. So I just wonder if we could track them down, but okay, fair enough.
Well, you probably could, given they were all squad, like members of the squad and stuff.
There was an ominous pause between swinging and on the gallows. I thought for a moment we were going to find out how she got pregnant.
Sorry, I just defaulted to swinging as in the dance from the 20s.
Braden, if you're still watching, I'm pondering what is going through your mind right now. Yes. Anyway, I mean, do you mention anything about your thoughts to Natalie, or are you kind of trying to keep your heads down?
No, this is all these comments are sort of.
Well, second coming is definitely not something
Yeah,
I'll say around
I got
Natalie,
that.
but the pregnant thing, there's no harm hiding that.
How long ago? Sorry, how old was the picture?
This was 1919, and again, it all kind of adds up in terms of the dates. So I think was it July where they were in Kenya, and then October they were kind of the bodies were found and stuff. So yeah, it all adds up. This is obviously a bit before and things, but yeah. So yeah, if you kind of talking about the possibility of a pregnancy, She does say, she does kind of comment of, oh yes, I do remember actually. Miss Hypatia was poor dear. She was quite sick for the majority of her stay here. In fact, particularly indisposed in the mornings, if I remember rightly.
Right.
I did wonder the
Right,
same
Becky.
actually, in terms of what you were discussing, but I didn't want to impose on the lady.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
all I'm
it's fair to
thinking
say.
is, okay, the pregnancy was possibly sounding more valid. However, we haven't ruled out the who's the daddy question yet. Although I'm assuming it's one of the other people in the expedition.
Yeah, because it's 1919 and she hasn't spawned a monster yet, then it's either someone in the expedition or an extremely long pregnancy.
Elephants take years.
Oh God!
It's entirely possible you met the offspring in that pyramid you were mentioning.
Hmm.
You know, and if it wasn't, if it wasn't like a baby sort of child, who knew what could have been fully grown.
Christ, I mean, he wouldn't do bad for a 5-year-old. I mean, we're in trouble.
No, realistically, we're going to assume that it's someone it was someone in the expedition who possibly lost it due to distress for all.
I mean, obviously, you say she was, was she happy when she was in Nairobi? Was she a bit depressed, or how did she appear?
I'm assuming you're asking Natalie that.
Yeah.
Oh well, like I said, she was fairly sick, but apart from that, she seemed happy enough. I did wonder if the heat was a little much for her as well, given her fair complexion and being from America, she isn't used to such things. So there's only so much she could do really whilst here, but she was in. I suppose you could say good company, but they, if you don't mind me saying, they were quite an odd bunch.
I just can't get over how young Sir Aubrey looks.
Why do you know him?
Well, yes.
Well, you.
New, yes, and he was in his 50s. His hair was grey, and yet here his hair is dark. Yet it's his
Well,
face, just younger.
she has a look at the photo. Yes, that is definitely him. To be honest, I've not seen any other pictures of him with grey hair, as you say, but I do believe I did find out that yes, he was in his 50s. I did actually wonder at the time. He did look very good for his age. I wondered if it was maybe diet or exercise, the sun. He was into Egyptology, I know that, so perhaps it was all his trips to Egypt that did that. But that is most curious if you're adamant that when you knew him, which I would imagine not very long before then, his appearance was older.
Yes.
It's not some sort of wonder product, is it? Back in England or anything?
Well, if he had a wonder product, he certainly never told anyone I know.
Well, given what you're saying, I'm not surprised. If I had grey hair and I could suddenly turn it almost like it is now, then I would certainly keep it to myself.
He didn't have hair full of boot polish, I assume.
I think. Well, I certainly didn't see anything dripping down the side of his face, if I remember. But he would have had to be a little desperate, especially out here. He didn't come
Even in
across
his
as
face,
somebody
his skin looks better.
insecure. Yes, he didn't come across as somebody remotely insecure about his appearance. Really, quite the opposite. In fact, it was almost as if he found a real sense of vigor being out here.
Ooh. Possession, do you think?
Possession? What,
No,
of a
just-
spirit?
Sorry, I was just that was not to Natalie. To the group.
I think
To the
we've
group.
identified the father.
Yes, he's been possessed and then impregnated Hypatia.
More of a host than a possession, I think.
Right, so we're all agreed then. When we leave here, I'm going to go back to the hotel and I'm going to sort out the cruise.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's certainly been very informative. Thank you.
That is good. Yes, a lot of information.
Way too much, to be fair.
Compared to Cairo, I don't think it's as much personally.
Not too
Okay.
much for my character to
Yes.
elaborate.
No, it's not the amount of information; it's the sheer darkness and unrelenting
quality,
woe that's
yes.
coming from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the quality of horror, not the quantity
Yes.
of it.
We're going to head off to the forts now and trying to contact Lieutenant Selkirk's
Smith.
I just got to nip to the bathroom. RB.
commanding officer.
Oh. God damn. I could do the bathroom as well, but she's going to make it before me. I was literally about to leave it as well with like a couple of sentences.
This.
Oh
She's
dear.
Quick killer character.
Oh well, we can go on for a little bit longer, I guess. Anyway, but yes, I wouldn't mind joining the queue if that's okay.
Steve. No, there was no one that was that's left that was in Peru. No.
No, we're all Giorgio's on his
No,
second character,
no.
Phil's on his second character, I'm on my second character, and Becky's on a third.
I've
So yeah,
been
no one there.
Actually, the last ones died in Cairo because Winston and Francoise died in Cairo. Arthur died in London.
Yeah.
I don't remember your first character name, Phil.
That was Brown, wasn't it?
But you died in
New
New York.
He died in New York. Yeah.
Johann Brown. He
Johann,
died in New York.
yeah,
And
right.
Perry
Brown.
took over in New York. So Perry's been with him since New York. So he did know the original group. And was there when the hunting horror attacked in Miss Carlyle's, Erica Carlyle's house.
Oh yes.
But no, there's no one left from Peru.
Yeah, I didn't get if are we still playing Jason or are we closing up the stream?
I was just about to ask because obviously it's midnight where you are. I was personally intending to end.
No,
with
but
a little
other than that, as I said, I'm not at the top of my game, so I wouldn't go any further if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Because I got a little bit of nausea, so I'd rather.
Oh, right. Apologies.
No, don't
well,
worry.
All I was going to say was, as you kind of get up to leave, you suddenly hear this huge bang, and a big hole appears in one of the front walls of the building. And you see this rather loud looking hunter. A bit like if you dialed Reggie up to 11, Charles. He's armed with an elephant gun and he looks rather annoyed. And Natalie pokes her head outside and says, "Oh, for God's sake, Colonel, again, why do you keep doing this to my building?" And he starts ranting to her about, "Oh, you meddlesome journalist," and all this. You're fueling the fires of this scandal of mine, etc. And that was where I was going to close for the night.
All right. So we need to talk with the colonel then.
Not necessarily, but it's just a thing that can happen. I decided that'd be cool.
It'd be handy while he's here.
Well, yes, indeed. Thank
Looking
you
forward to
for
next week's
enduring our
episode.
shenanigans week after week, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, and thank you for Brady
Yeah,
for Twitter as
yeah.
well.
Wouldn't be a role-playing session without your backseat commentary. It's great.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, what I'll do, let me cut the broadcast so Giorgio can get off and sort himself out. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for playing.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
catch you,
Well,
Good.
catch you
I'll see
later.
you
everybody.
later.
Bye, Hugh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jake.